Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we shall continue our lesson today on the excellence of uh, Friday prayer. Which is, of course, the excellence of Friday prayer. There are evidence from the Quran, pertaining to the act of whatever we do, there are 10 recommended acts, and the good deeds on Friday, as we know for other religion too. And this is what Allah mentioned in the Quran. Friday is a holy day. Holy day. This is where the word holiday is taken from. It's referring to holy day. And by it, Allah honored Islam and glorified Muslims. As Allah mentioned in Surah Jum'ah, chapter 62, verse 9, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha nudiya lis-salah min yawmil jum'ah fas'au ila dhikrillah wa dharul bay' zalikum khairun lakum in kuntum ta'lamun. Which means, O you who believe, O you who have believed, when the azan is called for the prayer on the day of Jum'ah, then proceed to the remembrance of Allah, leave trade, and that is better for you if you only knew. So this is the when there is an azan to pray on Jum'ah, you are supposedly to run towards the remembrance of Allah and give up, buy, and sale. Prophet said, God has made compulsory on you on this day of mine and in this place of mine. Okay. I mean, this is the only day, and there is a lot of history behind it. One of it, as we know, that Earth was created on Friday. Adam alayhi salam was also created on Friday. So that is the reason why that Allah honored this day. So if Allah honored this day, understood that He wants us to also honor this day. But of course, He knew that there are people who may not be able to go, and He doesn't burden it onto women. Women is not compulsory to be going, but if they want to go, by all means. Okay? So this is one of the Quranic verse, the evidence of the excellence of the Friday. Up to the extent of Allah want us to leave whatever we are doing. This is during the time, of course, when you talk about contextual, this verse was revealed when Prophet Muhammad was giving a sermon and everyone was in the mosque listening to him. But then during their time, they were doing barter trade. So when these traders or this caravan came from outside the country and they all left the Prophet, so that's where they still continue doing trading, where Allah commanded this verse to leave trade, and that is better for you. So this is again, as you can see at the end of this verse, Allah mentioned, in kuntum ta'lamun, if only you knew. Tell me that you don't know. Huh? Anybody? Can you say that you don't know what is so great about this day? Don't be shy. If you don't know, then I will share. But if you don't want to answer, it's okay. Okay, like I just mentioned to you, that one of the significant or one of the merit that you're going to get on Friday, everybody was hoping to be dying on Friday up to after Asar. Then it's considered as Saturday already, right? And because it has a lot of blessing, so that's why the merit is something that you can't count, right? So up to the extent from this verse, the Prophet also said, if a man loses 3 Jum'ah without any excuse, what will happen to him? Allah will put a seal on his mind. In another narration, he throws Islam on his back. So these are some of the hadiths collected in the book of Ihya Ulum. And this is from Abu Al-Jad Ad-Damri narrated, and he was a companion according to the claim of Muhammad bin Amr. Prophet Sallallahu whoever neglect Friday 3 times in a row without an excuse, then Allah set a seal upon his heart. And this hadith is Hasan. It is taken from the book Jami' at-Tirmidhi. As I just mentioned also, Adam alayhi salam was created on Friday, expelled on Friday too. And this is mentioned by Imam Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, where he cited the hadith, the Prophet said, the best day that the sun has risen upon is Friday. On it, Adam alayhi salam was created. On it, he entered paradise. And on it, he was expelled from it. And the hour will not be established except again on Friday. The hour here is referring to the judgment day or doomsday. If it were, if it were to happen, it will be on Friday too. Take note of these things. Don't know how busy are we going to be preparing for this day, but whether you like it or not, whether you prepare or not, it will come sooner or later. So just take note. And then another hadith protected from the trial of the grave. And that's why I told you just now earlier that everybody was hoping that if they can pass on Fridays. So here narrated by Abdullah ibn Amr that the Prophet ﷺ said, no Muslim dies on the day of Friday, nor the night of Friday. The night of Friday is referring to Thursday night, because the hour where the dua will go directly to Allah, it started from Thursday after Asar up to Friday after Asar. So that is the duration where you are asked to stay vigilant. And that's why sometimes I find that if you have really studied Islam, this is the important things that you should take note. If you are really having problems or you really urgently need something, these are the days or the time where, mentioned in the hadith that it will go directly to Allah. Meaning that it is likely to be answered by Allah Ta'ala, although we already knew, as I mentioned, in another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ also mentioned that generally when you supplicate, when you dua, generally it will be answered. Or likewise, there is an aversion to whatever that you are asking for, or lastly, it will be reserved, or rather, it will be kept in for the day of judgment. So this is how the dua is answered. So one of the important factor here, and believe me, you already knew, or if you don't know, you have to find out. The trial of the grave is something even the companion of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam are very fearful of, because there's only 3 of you. The 2 angels, which is Munkar and Nakir. They are the two angels and yourself, that's all, and your deeds. Whatever deeds that you have done in this world, that will be the one will be there during this one. So here, this hadith has given us where we are to be looking forward, for us to pass on, if Allah's will, on that very day. So according to the hadith, no Muslim dies on the day of Friday, nor the night of Friday, except that Allah protects him from the trial of the grave. Okay? That's why people are looking forward to be, dying in Makkah and Medina, and they're looking for this hadith. And that's always the effort that is being put on by most of the travel agents. If you are to be departing from Makkah on Friday, they normally will arrange to ensure that we leave after the Friday prayer. Because if you remember, there's one travel agent that the Ustaz himself passed on. It was on Thursday, and they performed the Janazah prayer in Al Haram. Right? I don't know whether you can recall, it was on the newspaper in one of the travel agents just above the Malay Hajar Maimunah. Yeah, it's above there, there's one travel agent, the Ustaz passed on. Okay, he was very fortunate. Of course, the accident was very scary. It was the bus, the coach, uh, banged into, actually it's a trailer that hit the coach. So it was really horrible. I think, yeah, you can ask some of the students who was with me. We met some of those who survived in the accident. They are on their way back Singapore. In Jeddah, we met them. So they were sharing how terrible the accident is and the other survivors. So this is, if you leave, what a waste, man. Of course, we don't want to die like that, but at least if you went through that kind of accident, should you go away, you can see that you will be protected from the trial of the grave. Okay? Any question? So these are the 10 recommended acts on Friday of what we are asked to do. Right? Number one, as you know, for the brothers, right? It is better, especially during this COVID, everything you have to book in advance. Although the news say that it has already increased in number, now it's 100 people can go for the Friday days. So these are some of the things. See, Islam has already prepared us before even any pandemic or whatever that comes. It is better to prepare Friday on Thursday, meaning like you can be doing the taking of the shower, right? You can do on Thursday night. Should you fear that you may be, or perhaps maybe for those who are working on Friday morning, you can do it. Because it's not like before where they do it on the, like 1 hour before prayer, then they start doing preparing themselves for the prayer itself. And in our time, of course, unless you're a boss of your own company, and now you have that opportunity because of COVID, so you can be preparing yourself for doing all these things, right? And after mid-afternoon on Thursday, you should focus on supplication that I mentioned earlier, seeking forgiveness, glorification, as the merit of this time are equal to those blessed unknown time on Friday. I mentioned that earlier. Secondly, preparing to wear, again, this is where sometimes you need to broaden your understanding. In the context of Singapore, I think during the early days is different. Okay, I remember when I was very much young, I'm into photograph that I can still remember at 10, 11 years age. You know, our parents prepare us to be wearing the gamis, or rather the robe, you know, wear clean robe using perfumes and keeping your heart free from anxieties so that you wake up on Friday morning with free mind. These are what they do during the early days and which is still happening in our neighboring countries, you know. And that's why you saw on Friday is like some kind of an Eid Mubarak, you know, for our neighboring countries. But in Singapore, you know, I mean, the culture here is different. It's getting from bad to worse, I suppose. Where you saw people going for the Friday prayers with T-shirt that have a printed T-shirt, you know, with names, sometimes even photos of Phuket and this and that. It's different like now. So this is where you come back for this kind of classes, at least it will remind you. It's not an obligation, but you know, as you can, it is something that is recommended. It's a recommended thing. Okay, and then you can try to fast on this day since it's a blessed day, Thursday, and we can spend the night with the Quran and pray. So this is what is expected. Okay, and then the second is the ghusl. Ghusl is the same also. You are asked taking the purification bath on Friday morning. I just mentioned that earlier. And this is based on the supported evidence of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu. Uh, the Prophet ﷺ said, Ghusl, taking a bath on Friday is compulsory for every Muslim, reaching the age of puberty. Okay? The compulsory day is not, it doesn't mean some kind of an obligation, no, because like I said, sometimes it may not be applicable, depend on where you are, which country, you know, we are divided by the geographical zone and sometimes the weather, you know, so, and this is the beauty of coming back to class, so at least you understand that most of this ruling that you take it literally here, it is not something that is static, it's not fixed, okay? It is subjective. I mean, it is something that's interchangeable, depend on the situation of what is happening. Cannot be the ghusl is, I mean, ghusl for taking bath for the Friday prayer itself is a recommended act or what is known as mu'akada, strongly recommended. Okay, so it's not something that is obligatory, but for the ghusl because of you know, intimate relation and all others, they want, yes, obligatory. Okay. Second hadith narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhum, the Prophet ﷺ said, any one of you attending the Friday prayers should take a bath. So this kind of, um, from what we understand in English, like any one of you attending, is like, is what they call it in Arabic, is khabariya. Khabariya, meaning the Prophet is giving us a very beautiful reminder for us if we can be taking the ghusl before we go for the Friday prayers. Okay? I mean, you can imagine the reward that you're going to get, you know, extra effort is being made, you know, the ghusl and the perfumes and wearing of new clothing. Like I said, in Singapore, if you wear the full suits like example, on Eid Mubarak, normally you know the culture here. They wear the full baju kurung with the samping and so on and so. This is what you saw in some countries, even in most of the Arab countries. You know, even in Dubai, in some Arab countries, you can see they really dress up, very neat, and the shirt is ironed. You can see them sometime in Mecca and Mukarramah. those people who come for Umrah like us also, but they will really dress up. And so does the Saudis also themselves. Okay? It's like you're attending a very important congregational prayer. You know, it's like you're invited by the president, that kind of thing. So you need to understand, although it's just a recommended act, but it depends on how you view and how how you understand the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Although these are not a requirement, that's why the scholars categorize it as just sunnah mu'akkadah.
Yeah, Ustaz.
Yes.
I remember normally Friday is a casual dress, to go office. So usually I wear short sleeve. So I remember one day going to the masjid for Jummah last time. The imam was asking me, why you wear so nice on other days, but on Friday you wear so casual. So he was saying like it's Jummah, we should do the other way.
That's right.
Then I realized.
Like I said just now, sometimes we overlook. Sometimes the news only come to us, when we are in class, right? So it's just that, as I said, knowing is one thing, but understanding what you know is another thing. Because many of us, we understood as, okay, this is not that important, isn't it? So, as what you said just now, you have to wait until the Imam question you, or this is very bad, right? If possible, don't. If you want to know, like, why they said like that, yeah, that goes back to your understanding of how great is Allah, isn't it? If you don't think that He's that great, then bopian ma Chinese, right? You will just say, it's okay lah. It's true, Allah is not fussy, but He is not demanding. He doesn't demand that we have to be dressing up. It's like, how should we put it? And it's a human intellectualism, on how you see him as what. If you see him as just one more, another president, then you will still think, it's same now, like all other presidents. This is the problem with our mind. We can't relate that differences. It is actually very different if you go to be comparing. Because none of the president in the world had the authority, have the power like him. So it boils back to our understanding. If we disregard him, then you will just think that it's okay lah. But that's why in some countries, like I said, a very good experience that your respected self also have been to Makkah and Mukarramah. And you can see the Egyptian will come to the mosque with jacket, so smart lah kan, that kind of thing, because they are working, most of them are in the so-called FMBs, right? So they dress up in that manner. While others who understand, among the Arab also you can see not everybody understand, and not everybody really think highly of what Allah is. No, not many of us. That's why one of the conditions in every prayer in Islam, right, as the Prophet stresses on the intention. See, intention is like you willingly want to do it. It's not that you force yourself. It has to be from that angle. Wallahu alam. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so be in the best clothes here. It is recommended to adorn yourself, wear nice clothes, be clean, and wear perfumes. Bottom line is what Brother Ilya was saying just now. Don't wait until somebody who are senior in terms of knowledge, and then they approach you and tell you, you don't know how to dress up to be in front of your God. But to me, that's why I always like to share. We should start somewhere and create that awareness in us and feeling guilty if we are not properly dressed. Even for daily prayers, in fact. It's just that Friday, should be above all the other days. You know? But like the problem with the community today is because most of you are from work. I mean, if you are working, this is now pandemic, then you can wear the imama if you like to. And I always advise you want to wear something very different or very extraordinary on Friday, begin at home. Okay? Why you need to begin at home? To avoid ostentation, to avoid ria, boastful, show off, and so on and so forth. So you start doing from at home as normally I recommended, especially during Ramadan, because Ramadan many people likes to wear the robe. So you can be adding more to the dress, especially on Friday. Okay? And today, unfortunately, again, even most imam today, they don't even wear the turban. It's like very casual wear. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to comment, neither would I want to say anything bad about them. But because this thing is a sunnah, so the argument here is a sunnah. Now remember, I already shared with you sunnah. It has two significance. Okay, one is for you to be adding more of whatever that you cannot get the reward. It's more to get more reward, to score point. In other words, or in in working terminology, you would call that as like you want more extra income. Okay, so the sunnah is like that. But the other meaning of sunnah is just that you are trying to raise, as I think on my yesterday my class is in Malay. I think one of the sisters was asking, so this is the best. If you want Allah to love you, and you have to be doing the sunnah more than anyone else. But be very careful here, because don't flip the thing. The sunnah become obligatory and obligatory become very loose, which means to say that many people, I have cited the hadith, raka'atain in qabla subuh, I mean, two rakaat prior to before the obligatory prayer of the Fajr, the reward is the world and its content. Can you imagine? So sometimes people rush. People wants to be waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, to be doing the tahajjud and then followed by the Fajr prayer. After Azan, immediately they do the Sunnah prayer. But make sure that you do the obligatory too. So there are two meanings in the Sunnah. So Quran is just to add value as what later we are going through about the super obligatory prayer. From there you will know, it's like you want a rank. You want a rank. As Allah mentioned, right? So this will only happen if your intention in doing whatever that you're doing it willingly. Okay? It's not by force. It's not something that, somebody force you to do. Okay? The nama amal biniyat in Arabic there means that in Malaysia menyengajakan, meaning like you it's not by accident, you willingly wants to do it sincerely. It has sincerity in whatever they do. But like I said, this one is up to how you define. Many people think that uh, I mean I'm doing sincerely. What? That's why I pray lah. Only Allah knows. Sincere is something that no one knows. It's in your heart. But if you're doing it sincerely, then it becomes something that you have been loved by Allah. And once if Allah loves you, He will give you more trial. So this is the difference between, if you know the wali president, right? You get more rank, more reward, pay increment and all that. But if you want to get closer to Allah Ta'ala, He will test you. Okay? He will test you. And normally, again, for us ordinary people, right, the test is not something unbearable. We knew. Okay, the test is always within our capacity. So then cleanliness, clean our teeth. This is again before anything happens. I think we should be able to know this, right? And it is about our eyes, our mind. It's affected, it's connected with the teeth. So this cleaning of the teeth is even outside Ramadan. Is outside the prayer also is important. Cut the hair. This is just to be. If you have seen the movie The Officer and the Gentleman, then you can see we are taught as Muslim. We are taught to be neat, and tidy. Clip our fingernail, mustache, anything else necessary. And one should wear white clothing, and it is dear to Allah. Okay. Like I said, it's not something that is compulsory, but this is where the understanding of the level of sunnah, that how you define and what you think you expect from doing all this sunnah. To some, at the end of the day, you will find that they complain, isn't it? Because they feel they're very tired. They have to be doing so many things. So that's why it's best do what is within your capacity. Okay, the next is,
Sorry, Ustaz, I think Brother Manto got a question.
yes, please.
Ustaz, just now you mentioned two rakaat of sunnah prayer prior to Fajr prayer. I mean the reward is the world and its content.
Well and its content.
Okay, these two sunnah prayer is referring to what type of sunnah prayer, Ustaz?
After the Azan Subuh.
Or after the azan? Okay.
The night prayer itself, it already has a reward for it.
It's not. Sorry, Ustaz. It's not referring to the tahajjud or the night prayers, right? Because that one for subuh.
That one will just brighten up your grave. Nobody have been there, isn't it? But we never ponder upon things that we will have to go through. Isn't it strange? Human being is so daring to be defiant and defying Allah Ta'ala. Because this place, none of us who are now still alive have got the experience. And none of us can be in touch with those who have went to let us know if there any light, gleams of or whatever reflection or this and that. No, nobody gets the chance to. That's why it is only based on الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. You want to be believing in the unseen or not? So nothing much. Okay. And go to the masjid in the morning. Go to the mosque in the morning. This is narrated by Imam Abu Hurairah. This is again, like I said, sometimes contextual. In our times maybe we are working, and even now the pandemic also you can't go early. You have to wait for the time and this and that, right? So sometimes some of these, but if you put on the effort, you will still be rewarded. Meaning, like you cannot enter the mosque, but then you loiter around somewhere nearer to the mosque. So in order for you to get this reward, when it is Friday, the angels stand at the gate of the mosque and keep on writing the names of person coming. See their attendance. They mark your attendance coming to the mosque in succession according to their arrival. So that's why one of the other reward that we are asked for is awal saf. Awal saf means try and aim for the first row. Okay, so the example of the one who enters the mosque in the earliest hour is that of one offering a camel in sacrifice. Can you imagine the reward? It's almost equivalent to like you are offering a camel for sacrifice that is going to cost you 1,000, 1,400 or 1,500, depend on the season. And the one coming next is like one offering cow, and then a ram, and then a chicken, and then an egg, respectively. So this one must be near to the door of the door of the mosque lah. You only get egg. Better than nothing lah kan? Okay. So what they meant here is you come before the imam comes out. Okay. Before the imam says Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. As below there, when the imam comes out for the Jum'ah prayer, the angel will fold your papers and listen to the sermon. So they also obedience creature of God, remember? So it cannot be that they are just observing you and not paying attention to what is being said. Don't ask me whether the language that is spoken by this angel. Of course, whoever that Allah have appointed will know what is being said. Okay? And it was said that the first innovation that entered Islam was abandoning the practice of going to the mosque at dawn. This is what happened. The worldly people go to the market at dawn to trade, but those seeking the hereafter cannot go to the mosque at dawn. This is what happened in our time, of course. Can you understand? And then number 5 is again a commendable act. Do not pass over someone's neck. I mean, although you see their blank file or rather their space for you to go to the front, but you're not allowed to pass over someone's neck. This is a very, what we call it, stern hadith mentioned. It's narrated from Abu Zahiriya, about Abdullah bin Busr. He said, I was sitting beside him on Friday, and he said, a man came stepping over people's neck. And the Prophet ﷺ said, sit down, you are disturbing people. Then Sahal bin Ma'az bin Anas Jahli narrated from his father that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever steps over the neck of the person on Friday, he has taken a breach of hell. See, although the hadith is dying. Okay. What is, there's a question here, what is your opinion about those who pray outside the mosque? They cannot book a slot for Friday prayer due to social distancing. Yeah, as long as they can follow the imam, it's the same like the Zoom. If they want to be following, they can hear the Bilal voice if they are outside the mosque because of the. I don't know whether that is allowed in the context of Singapore. I don't think so. You can be loitering around outside because when they create the distancing, it's a compulsory thing that everywhere, even in food centers, you know, the distancing officer is moving around, you know, to make sure that you're distancing. But should you think that you escape from them, they didn't spot you, you're going outside the mosque, you're transgressing. So this is not wise lah, okay? Be careful lah. I mean, I didn't say it's wrong, but be careful that you didn't get caught, okay? You didn't get caught by the distancing officer who will be moving around, you know? Because never mind, you already know the fatwa, right? That we are excused, you know, because of these things. So we go by whatever that we can. If we cannot, we must do the Zohar, that's all. Don't worry about whatever now is already decided by the legal committee from the religious council, you know. So in Islam, if there is a council or in our society will be made, if they have made a decision, you won't be blamed for whatever decision that is being made by them. Okay, they will be held responsible for whatever they have decided on the day of judgment, not in this world. But nonetheless, those are the effort. And as you know, slowly, we are increasing the number of people. It depends on, they may have their reason. I mean, I can't go into this thing. This is very political. So I suggest that, as an Ustad, or I can advise you that because there is already a legal ruling in this matter, Muiz have decided, so we follow. In fact, this Friday also, Muiz wants to, the ARS officer wants to do an interview, and they asked me first, whether they write book for the Friday prayer. See, they know that you can't, not everyone can. So it's not that something that we take it very lightly, but unfortunately, there are a risk for you transgressing whatever has already been there's always a wisdom onto whatever that Allah has decreed for us. Especially in this pandemic thing, we will get the reward, even we don't get to do. I hope that answers your question. So here, what if you see a space in front of the person? This is still on the congregational prayer. Like I told you just now, you should tap his shoulder and cross over. Don't just, what they're trying to say is rude now. It's very rude if you will just pass over someone's neck, isn't it? So if you want to still take over, I mean, you saw there's a space in front, right? You tap his shoulder. At least he knew that then he will shift to the left or shift to the right to allow you to cross that person. Or you should wait, as I mentioned, that was the second option. You should wait when they come up. You're given the opportunity because this one is depend on generally those who do this are the latecomers. So you have to be fair. If you are the latecomers, you go by what the Prophet says upon entering the mosque, sit wherever you are until the Iqamah, then you move to the front because you are latecomers. Different again if you are the early bird, you come early, then you do one, then later when the crowd comes, then you want to cross. This is also not allowed in the religion. Okay? So just wait for the Iqamah so that people will start forming up the rows and there will be space for it. Okay? Number 6, you should not pass in front of them. Again, this is a manners teach in Islam. And when you're doing the prayer, that's why there is a prayer mat that has been used in our time. And during the early days, they use something, to put it in front. I think in some country you can see. I forgot there's a word for it, where you put something so that people will not cross. But if you are just using the prayer mat, so the prayer mat becomes the boundaries, meaning that people cannot cross over your prayer mat. So some put spectacles, some put their mobile phone in front. So this is not allowed in the religion. Similar to the previous warning from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the recommendation is to sit near a wall or pillar so that people can enter the masjid hall with ease. This one is depend on how big your mosque is in. So here there is a narration narrated from Busar bin Syed that Zaid bin Khalid sent word to Abu Juhaym al-Ansari asking him, what did you hear from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam about a man when he is performing prayer? And then he said, I heard the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saying, if any one of you, how great is the sin involved when he passed in front of his brother who is performing prayer. You know what it means, right? In front means like you just cross. In some mosques, the carpet has like like, it is broken up, like into this, you have to bring your prayer mat, right? So that prayer mat becomes the boundary of people cannot be crossing it. But with this pandemic, I don't think so you have time to do this. Okay? But it's a serious thing mentioned here. If any one of you knew the scene of crossing the boundary when he passed in front of his brother who's performing prayer, then for 40. Waiting for 40, that means I do not know if he meant 40 years, 40 months, or 40 days would be better for him than that. Meaning by you crossing, right? Might sure you wait for another 40, so but there is no specification on whether it's 40 years, 40 months, or 40 days. That would be better than crossing the boundary of someone prayer mat. So what if there is no space except to pass in front? And that one is again an optional cases, and these are mostly done in Mecca and Medina and Munawwar. You see people, no choice, they are looking for space. Sometimes you're being squeezed uh, in order to be among the giant people. Some Arabs are very big size. Okay? 7 here is don't go to the mosque by the front of the praying man. We went through that earlier. You should try to be in the first row, but that doesn't mean that you start crossing again from one to another. So Abdullah ibn Amr radiallahu anhuma reported that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever wash himself on Friday, applies perfume, his wife, if she has one, and wear good clothes and does not step over the neck of the people in the mosque to sit in the front row, and does not indulge in idle talk, nothing during the sermon that will atone for his sin. You see, your sin will be forgiven. That's why they call it's just like Umrah, al-Umrah, ila al-Umrah, kafaratul zunub. It's a wash, it's cleansing of your sin from one Umrah to another Umrah. And that is the reason why people repeated the Umrah. For that reason, because it's atone of the sin between the two Fridays and atone of the sin between the two Umrah. If you have done one and you come back again. But he who indulges in idle thought and steps over the neck of the people in the mosque will be for him like the noon prayer. And this hadith is Hassan. It's been confirmed by Albani. Albani is the hadith in our time and also mentioned by Sunan Abu Dawud. And then another hadith, Al-Imam Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported the Prophet said, the best of the men rows in Salah, if you can, is the first row. And the worst is the last. But the best of women row is the last. And the worst of their rows is the first. So women is a reverse of men. If they are in a congregation prayer, they are to try and get the last row. That's why in Medina, if you notice, especially those who are living in Movenpick, right? As you see, the door that is closer to Movenpick is actually for the women. And the Arabs actually doesn't like most of our Asian, especially Indonesia and all others, right? They will normally be praying behind the women, where, as you can see, they already at the last, but then, the guys join in and follow them. So here, take note now, for sisters, the best of woman row is the last, and the worst of their rows is the first.
Ustaz,
This is mentioned in the book Riyadus Salihin. Yes, sister.
just to clarify a little bit on this part. They mean rows as in the man should be in front and the lady should be behind. Is
Yes.
this what they are trying to imply as not generally first row, they should be right in front first row and second, third, fourth, fifth, and then the last row is for the men and then not that, right?
No, of course not.
No, this is just to some that the men are in front and the female, the ladies are behind.
That's right.
Am I right?
So
Doesn't
because,
matter which row they are in. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it depends on the, like some mosques, like in Singapore, Balawi mosque doesn't have partition to divide the women and men, right? So that kind of situation is where they are saying that you will be the worst if you are the first, meaning you are rightly behind the
Mhm.
man.
Uh-huh.
You're in the first row, but right in front of you, there's a man.
I see.
You are
Okay.
known as the worst there. Okay? The best is that you can be at the last, meaning that you should be far away.
But why? Why is that? Is there a reason why is it that way?
Yeah, I mean, normally it's about Satan, desire, because, you women, normally when you wear perfumes also, it's going to be like luring the men,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you need to understand, many women think that we are being, you all have been victimized. Not in Islam. You are very wrong if you think that you have been victimized. No, you are being honored.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you study history, what is women in the men's world?
Mm-hmm.
You are nothing, right? But Islam is the one that elevated your status and allow you to be side by side with men. So in the prayer, it's the same. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that Satan will kind of like, bring the smell to that man right in front of you.
Okay. So
Then make him wants to be turning back and see, bau sedap saya daripada siapa yang pakai ni. You know, you
so
know
it's, it's to prevent the distraction.
yes,
Okay.
basically that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That.
Uh,
That's
not that Islam does not respect or does not value women, no. But the
okay.
Westerners make it look like that, and that's the bombardment that normally you get from the Western people and those people who doesn't understand. Actually, Islam respected. Islam give you the highest respect.
That's true.
Men
Yeah.
cannot be messing around with you. When there's a present of woman, you should always be in the back room. I mean, you just imagine, sister, if you, I don't know whether you notice or not, if you are at the mosque or if you are in religious classes, right? You can see, right? Normally, if there's a woman beside, you would want to be the guy, I'm talking about the guy, will be looking like every now and then looking. Even your own wife, sometimes you get distracted. You want to signal her and say, okay, wait there on this and that.
Mm.
This is our nature, isn't it?
Mm.
So the religion wants to prevent that from happening. And this is a mosque, it's a sacred place, God. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why it should be taken more seriously.
Mm.
As you can see, in fact, it already happened in one of the mosques here in Singapore, where this teacher took advantage of the, and in fact, it's actually related to him when he was teaching Quran. At the same time, he do some indecent act onto this women, and he was charged in court. The religion is preventing, sister. Even there are differences of opinion among the scholars. I think you can ask the man that is in our group here. Some of the voice of a woman, right, really were kind of like very luring, lah.
Celine Dion, Ustaz.
Yeah. So that is the reason why, even in voices, there are differences, like, in Shafi'i, uh, he's quite liberal in this aspect, especially when they came out with the reason for encouraging them to be reading the Quran. Even reading the Quran in public for women is, you need to understand the reason behind the prohibition. It's not just understand that this is prohibited. Or it sounds like, you always become a victim of men. This is what the Westerners put this kind of thoughts in our women's mind, and said that. And not true again, many women still think that men are bosses in marriage. See, these are the wrong things about what we don't know about what the religion taught us. Because most men, or that's why the marriage guidance course is only introduced during your time, not during my time. Because people fail to understand, marriage is not about I'm the husband, I'm the boss. No, no. It's mutual. Most of whatever is been in marriage life in Islam, there's guideline, but it's based on mutual, meaning both agree. So there should be like, helping one another, because those are again evidence from the Quran. Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah. We have to try and help one another. So without knowledge, you wouldn't know all these things, and that's where the weight is like upside. It's not balanced. It's not balanced. Okay. Because if I don't know whether this is difficult because I had experience teaching Westerners. In the Western civilization, right, having tea, coffee with someone. What is your take on that, sister? Can we go for tea or coffee, sister? The one asking me just
Yeah.
want to go for tea and coffee.
Or tea and coffee with if it's just one person, I think you will want to consider. But if it's a group of friends or your colleagues, then maybe in this era maybe it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, Betty, normally even if you are a married woman, right? If you get someone who are admiring your beauty, then how? Or what they call it, a secret admirer. Shaitan is very cunning. He will not. I can understand in our time, we can be allowing this, but on condition you have to be strong yourself. You have to be strong yourself. You have to say to yourself that there is no other business except just having coffee and tea. I'm talking about in our time, because I do have students that also ask me to go for coffee and tea. Women also, but not every time, not every invitation I will say yes. No, I normally will ask to have someone, and if I agree, it will be in public places. No, like cozy corner or candlelight dinner or what. No, I won't dare to be doing that. Like in public places is okay, because I don't think so. There are funny things can be done by this whoever the man is, right? But we are talking about like I said just now. I was just about to share with you when I'm having experience with European, because in the European lifestyle is nothing. Even having dinner or lunch with somebody's husband or wife is, but still you saw there are cases of scandal rising in most of their countries, and to them scandal is not an issue, but in Islam it is an issue. So like I said just now, and it is not just one way. It's not that if your husband doesn't allow you to be having coffee with other men, make sure your husband also doesn't have tea with other women. And that's what I meant by right is supposedly to be mutual. But unfortunately, guys always think they are more superior.
Yeah, why is that? Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Why is that? Why do they? Yeah, because is it they do not understand what is being
Yes.
said?
Basically, yes. There is the Quran, the common verse that you normally hear. Arijalun qawmuna ala nisa bima qadullahu ba'dukum ala ba'd. Loosely in most of the Quranic mufassir, the translator, they translate as man is what do you call it? Men is like more superior than women. Where actually this verse said, Adijalun kawamuna. The word kawamuna means like you have to be the protector and the maintainer. And that one is more right. But mostly they translate as I'm more superior, or I'm, what wife have to be obey. But obey, that's why obey in Islam also, there are rules of obedience. It's not just blind obedience, until you got bruises over your eyes, you know, this is not what, that does not mean that you being an obedient wife, you will go to heaven. No, it's not like that. This is in the book of divorce, or talak. There are different kind of talak, and these are the things that many women doesn't know their rights. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm a man myself, so I can tell you that most of us are very egocentric. Our ego is the one that think that we are. Come on now, I mean, if you are human, right, and you are close to Allah, you know that there are some rights that your wife is saying, your wife is protecting. Like one of the rights is being jealous. Jealous is not something that is allowed in the religion. It's allowed. It's a sign of love. You love your man, and your man loves you. So sometimes it's just that they get overprotected. I think like the Arab, and I think the Pakistani culture also same. I think the women are really being pressured, and it's like they don't get much freedom as in comparison with other in other society or other races, right? I mean, they care and they're concerned about the well-being of that individual women. So until the thing goes in the Arab also, in the Arab society also the same. They are so stringent towards their daughters. This is not actually what it is supposed to be if you follow Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, Betty, I hope that answers to your question.
Yes, Ustaz, it is.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to the eighth one. The eighth is stop praying when the imam gets on the pulpit. Now, this is still not, people are not listening, isn't it? You still see people praying after the imam says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't know what prayer they are praying also, sometimes, like 2 rakat. It's actually, it's not something that is a sin, but it's considered as you irritate others. Now, one of the character of being the best Muslim and Muslimah, brothers and sisters in Islam, is don't make others people angry at you for nothing. A best Muslim, a Muslim, you are saved from the mouth and the hand. Remember? So it's not so much of your act of worship that you've been doing, but then your character, na'udzubillah, worse than a lion. You are worse than lion. This is not what, that does not make you the best Muslim. If you want to be known as the best Muslim and Muslimah, you are to always be calm and understand others, or rather give space to others. This is what Islam taught us. So it was narrated from Imam Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that the Prophet said, whoever says to his companion on Friday when the Imam is delivering the khutbah, even listen attentively, even if you say that word, you has engaged in an idle talk. Because you are distracting the Imam, because normally, as we are the Imam, I have become an Imam in some houses. We are in the pulpit, right? So we can see every corner of, and people are looking, and you're able to see. Sometimes we get distracted. You see people, talking with one another where you are delivering a sermon. In short, let's just put it that you are very rude, isn't it? So you see here, as mentioned here. So what if you wanted to perform to a kind of sunnah before sitting? If, according to Al-Marhum Al-Alama Musta Abdullah Al-Jufri, if you came in, the Imam already start the sermon, right? Sit down. You do that rakaat that you owe later, after everything is over. Stay back lah and do whatever you miss. Even in Sunnah, you can do the makeup prayer. According to Al-Marhum, Al-Alama, Al-Ustaz, Habib Abdullah bin Muhammad al-Jufri. Okay? And the 9 is follow the Imam on Friday. When the Friday prayer is finished, you are encouraged to recite, if possible, before you talk to anyone after, now you cannot shake hand. Now they call it the Mufti Salam. So before you talk, to anyone, that means after the Salam, right, you stay where you are, and then start reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, not Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Fatiha, then Surah Al-Ikhlas, Al-Falaq, and Surah Al-Nas, 7 times. Okay? This is what you are encouraged to do right after the prayer. And if you do that, you remain safe from shaitan until the following Friday. Imagine, covered by Allah Ta'ala for 1 week from disturbance of shaitan. Yes, somebody wanted to ask something?
Ustaz, this one 7 times the whole set, meaning
Yes.
Al-Fatiha.
Yes, Mr. Hilman.
Okay, thank you.
Not really that long, right? It depends on if you want to be reading it melodiously, then it takes half an hour lah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. That one will take 1 hour, also cannot finish. After that, Surah Ikhlas, Surah Falaq, and Surah Nas. But if the normal speed, if you recite, I think the most you will stay back only maybe 10 minutes. So, sometimes some of these things, like I said just now, don't give yourself an excuse to your boss. You come back late because you recite Surah Fatiha 7 times, Surah Ikhlas. Who asked you to do this? These are all sunnah, right? This is a sunnah. So please be careful when you want to do sunnah. Like I said just now, make sure that you didn't cause others any inconvenience for the sunnah that you want. Because sunnah is a reward. It's laba. In Arabic, they call it laba. You want to be having extra income. So how can you be having extra income by killing others? Okay, be careful, brothers and sisters. Because this is what normally you saw in the society. Our society, people will do this. They want to get extra reward. They want to be doing the sunnah like some. Sunnah is in too many if I want to start listing it up. But some still start fighting about beard. Not all men can have beard, So poor people cannot grow beard, then how? You said it's a sunnah to be having. It's macho and sado, but then depend whether you can be having that beard or not, can grow or not. If what happened if the beard cannot grow, then you still say that this thing that. So be practical in what you say, whatever that you want to share. Okay, sunnah is too many, like I said. If you want to start touching on that. Okay, so there's a sage that said, whoever does this remains safe from shaitan until the following Friday. So at least you are safe for 1 week. Alhamdulillah. After that, the next week shaitan come back again. No choice lah what to do. Fight again lah. Okay?
I got a question from Brother Jibril.
Brother Chiti. Sorry?
Brother Jibril.
Oh, Jibril. Yes, sir. Mr. Jibril. I can't see the question in my chat.
Or Brother Manto.
Sorry. This one, when you recite this thing, sunnah 7 times. The question here is, must you sit down, or if let's say, okay, I make a move to my office, finish, So it is considered, if I were to recite it 7 times, so it is considered fall into this sunnah, right?
Yes, if you don't have an alternative, right?
Okay.
Because this is sunnah, going back to work is compulsory. Yeah. I mean, immediate that you have to be leaving after saying the salam, do so. And that's why some of this thing is what they call it as innovation. So these are the reason, because people get confused. You know, you don't take your own sweet time, because in the modern times you can't be applying what is being mentioned, isn't it? So this is what I meant by some of these things is yet to be reviewed, and this is the reason why you have to come to class, to understand that there is a possibility of some of these things is cannot be practiced, cannot be practiced in modern times, because we have to go back to office, we have to report back, and normally I think for the civil servant we are given 2.5 hours, right, for Friday, right? So if you are within that range, then you sit, but then you should be hurried back to the office. That is allowed also, because this thing can be said along the journey, in bus or in train or wherever you are, you can still continue. Although here is mentioned, when the Friday prayer is finished, you recite before talking to anyone, right?
Okay.
But not necessarily that you have to be within the mosque. It can be outside, can be having you're having tea.
Okay, understand.
Eh?
Mm. Thank you.
Um, who else, boss? And the last one is staying for the next prayer. This is again is the most excellent. And yeah, I mean, if you want to start to be closer to Allah Ta'ala, brothers and sisters, this is what I can share with you. This is what I did before. Before I became a Ustad, I put on the effort to remain in the mosque, or even if I'm at home, right? Normally between Maghrib and Isha, without breaking the wudu. And this is the most excellent. But if you are in the mosque, remember I told you that the one recommended by Prophet Muhammad in the book of Al-Imam Ibn Rajab Hamadi, remember that he mentioned trying to grab to be doing in congregation the Fajr prayer with your wife, then or otherwise the Asar prayers. The Asar is not including in the package, but normally why Asar is being mentioned, because one of the other reason is the angels will ascend to bring our report for that day on Asar. So that's why there's a mention of praying in Asar. And lastly, according to Al-Imam Ibn Rajab from the Hadith, it's the Prophet that recommended is the Isha prayer. Okay, but Maghrib and Isha, Maghrib has always been, considered as we are at the age of my age, we becomes grandfather already. So it has always been the practice of most of the prophet. They will be sitting in, as you can see in Makkah and Medina, they will not be going out just to have some coffee or tea until Isha over. Then you see them flooding the most of the restaurant. And I think some mosques practices this. I think mostly are the Hanafi mosques. You see them, the Imam will not move from the prayer mat, sit down and wait until Maghrib comes. Because they pray, the Hanafi, they pray Asar 45 minutes after the Azan. Right? So that's why once they completed the Asar, then it should be near to Maghrib. So that's why they will sit for Maghrib. Allah Ta'ala. Then the good deeds on Friday is to be present at the assemblies of learning at dawn or after prayer. meaning if you can come to class now. That's why they have what they call in Singapore as kuliah subuh. There are some mosques doing this, and this is according to Imam Abu Zar radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet ﷺ said to me, O Abu Zar, for you to come out in the morning and learn one verse from the book of Allah, it's better for you than praying 100 rak'ah. Same like you're attending the session now, right? 1 hour is equivalent to 1,000 sunnah prayer. This one is better for you praying 100 rak'ah. If you can do it, you see, before even you start anything, you just go for the kuliah subuh on Friday, you get already the reward of praying sunnah prayer 100 rak'ah. For you to come out and learn a matter of knowledge. I mean, brothers and sisters in Islam, what else are we looking for? Tell me now. In this world, our life is short, you know. We will only live up to 100 years of age, you know. Those who cross 50 years of age is already a bonus. Because the Prophet recommended between 70 and 80 years of age. I'm 63, so I got 7 more years. Pray that I live longer. I also want for an extension, you know, so that I can be doing more good. Inshallah. Pray for me too, brothers and sisters. So remember, you can see, because this is the aim. That's what I was sharing yesterday in the Malay book, that about our, first is we have to set our mind, our vision. We have to have that vision and mission. You know, and this is the vision of what we know, as Allah mentioned, goes back again to Surah Zariyat, you know, that Allah said, I did not created you and the genie, but for you to be serving me. And this serving me will benefit you. It's got nothing to do that if you were to be praising Allah, glorifying Him, doesn't make Him richer than He is already rich. It doesn't move Him, and should the whole world boycott it, doesn't want us to be glorifying Him, it doesn't make Him become poor. So remember, if you have this opportunity to come to class or to attend, I don't know, we so far nobody have voiced to me to have this kind of session, which I don't think so possible, you know, because it's quite early in the morning, right? But this is what you get the reward. Imagine now, so every Friday you get 100 rakaat reward. Come to just to study Islam, and in today's context you don't have to come to my house, but you can do it through Zoom. So whether you acted upon what you have studied or not, it's better for you than praying 1,000 rak'ah. Although this hadith is da'if, it's considered as da'if is not the hadith, but it's the narrator, they found some hidden defect onto that narrator, so that's why it's been mentioned as da'if. Okay, and then catch the special time when your wish is granted. Al-Imam Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that the Prophet ﷺ said, while talking about the merits of Friday, there is a time on Friday at which a Muslim, while he or she is performing salah and is supplicating, will be granted whatever he or she is supplicating for. Can you imagine? And he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, pointed with his hand to indicate that this period of time is very short. Okay, what I just mentioned earlier, that is known as Sa'ati Ijabah. Sa'ati Ijabah, where your prayer goes directly to Allah without any intervention of the angels, you know, who normally will be the one that bring whatever you present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So some say the time, right? The time that we are talking about is Sa'ati Ijabah. Some say at sunrise, some say at noon, and at Azan. This one I think is more common that you hear, right? Between Azan and Iqamah, that short time is for you to be asking God. To make supplication to Allah Ta'ala for your job, for your health, for your children, you know. And when the Imam stepped up the pulpit, the mimbar, and begins the sermon, this is one of another and last part of the mid-afternoon. So it is the correct view that it is not fixed within the hour of Friday, just like Laylatul Qadr. It's for you to be putting on the effort to try. And yeah, anyway, we are in the mosque. We are doing our things, right? So you catch this special time, which is known as in Arabic as Sa'ati Ijabah. Sa'a means time, right? Ijabah means that your wish is granted. Okay, so you can be on the lookout for these things. It's just like the night of Laylatul Qadr. But Laylatul Qadr is on the odd night, but this one is not in the night on those mentioned there, sunrise, noon, azan. And this is only solely on Friday. What kind of good deeds you can do. Okay. Then sending salutation, of course, and reading of Surah Kahf. Prophet said, if a man recites Surah Kahf on Friday or Thursday night, he is given a light which is visible from Makkah. Okay? His sins are forgiven until the next Friday, plus 3 extra days. Then 70,000 angels bless him until dawn, and he is saved from diseases, stomach pain. I don't know what is that. Betty, what is that? Betty, how to pronounce that?
It's a condition. I found the
Ah.
translation.
Condition too large, thin layers of tissue that separate your lung from your chest wall. It becomes inflammation, like tuberculosis and trial of the Dajjal. These are what you get just for the day, Surah Kahf. Surah Kahf or Surah Kafi? Because there's two, you know.
Yeah, Surah Al-Kahf, the earlier chapter.
Al-Kahf is my surah. Because there's Surah Kafi and Surah Kahf. Anyway,
Kafi, should be Kafi.
In some country, even in Dubai, sometimes in some country, even in Saudi Arabia, sometimes they will give you this surah in a small book, you know, where you can carry it with you. And because they are preparing for Friday. So because of the reward, as you can see there, then to bless the Prophet to say the salawat when entering the mosque, and not sit down until having prayed 4 rak'at, reciting Surah Ikhlas 50 times in each rak'at. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever prays such will not die until he is shown his place in paradise. So these are all hadiths, what you can get. The other thing that you are encouraged to, of course, the charity thing, you don't need to be looking, they will come to you. The box will be moving around. This is to give charity because merits are increased, meant for. Okay. And lastly, to keep performing ibadah for the whole of Friday after discharging the worldly duties. Meaning continue after you go back from work. There is no specific that, I mean, you will not be allowing to be doing things in Islam. Actually, there is no barrier between us and Allah Ta'ala. What becomes a barrier between us and Allah Ta'ala is the sin that we committed. So that's why it cannot, like, you find it's very difficult to get connected. Wallahu alam bisawab. We will stop here and inshallah we'll continue on next Thursday more onto the Sunnah prayer, about Duha, about all others too, or what they call in English supererogatory prayer. So any question now is time for us to talk. If there is any question, don't be shy, please. Anybody?
Usually, what topics will be covered during the Fajr Kuliah?
Depend on some people will just be reading the book of Riyadus Salihin, books like that. Riyadus Salihin mostly are about the hadith, and as mentioned there also, if you can be reading the hadith, would be better, right?
Correct.
I mean, topic can be you can choose, but in mosques, I'm not too sure. Sometimes the ustad will bring their own books just to share what they think is relevant. Like in this modern world, Mr. Jibril, what we are lacking is the spiritual aspect. Many people are still, because we are surrounded with, entertainment.
Yeah,
Whether you are at home, you are outside, so that's why to revive the the soul is something that we need to do. Can just be like reading Ratib al-Haddad, the litanies of the book that is so, right? They have history and they even attach an hadith to it. So it's something that I think we all should be having it. So maybe that you can consider that as, like nowadays, not only Kuliah Subuh, but they also have Kuliah Zuhur in some mosques. But now because of the pandemic, all Kuliah postponed now. We can consider that. You can speak to Brother Adil Yao. If they agree, maybe in the noon we can have one kuliah. I think noon will be much more better, Have pity on me. Otherwise, I wake up early in the morning and nobody come, or 5 or 2 or 3 of you. Alamak, relax, brother. Although I get the reward, but let's be fair with me, kan. Didn't really expect like the ARS courses. We have 100 over pages in thesis, and their ruling is you have to show your face, mute your mic but show your face. For the ARS courses that we go online, right? It's like that. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, this coming Friday, maybe they want to give me something. They want to meet up with me. Mr. Nasir, how are you?